Good morning. How is everyone doing today? Decentralized science is down 0.6%. Nothing that crazy of a pullback considering we've basically doubled in market cap over the last month or so. So having a minor pullback of 0.2% as a function of the entire industry is pretty nominal. Not really anything worth even mentioning. Amex up 22%, preprints up 15%, 200% on the week. Axon up 8%, ETI up 4%. Things are cruising along. Now, today's live stream is going to be a little bit different, and it's potentially probably going to be pretty long because Pump.Science is hosting an X space set to go live at 12 o'clock. I gave it a couple extra minutes to try and see if they would start the space before I went live so we could start right into it, but they still have not actually gone live with it. So we're going to go ahead and talk about DeSci until they go live, and then we will join and we'll listen about Pump.Science, the only decentralized science project built on top of Solana, the chosen chain. They're kind of memeing science a little bit here in order to get some stuff moving. And people, if you've been paying any kind of attention to the page, if you've been paying any kind of attention to decentralized science or showing up to these live streams on a consistent basis, you are up hundreds of X. Because this project, we were talking about it through this entire period when it was sitting at a $5,000 market cap. And now it's sitting up at a $3 million market cap, which means they just are getting to the point where they can start the mice experiments, but we'll get into that, and I'm sure they'll get into that as well. A $5,000 market cap up to a $3 million market cap is about less than a 2x away from 1000x. I know that's a lot of maths going on right there, but a $5 million market cap will significantly be a 1000x on this Solana-based project. That's nutty, guys. That's nutty. I want to know how many of you guys jumped in and how many of you guys are still holding strong. I'm also going to submit a formal complaint to the team here over at Pump.Science. How dare they take up my live stream slot with one of these spaces and then, first of all, not consult me. Second of all, not even go live at 12 o'clock. Like, what kind of, there we go. All right, I take it back. I'm going to go ahead and join right in. Goofy question, do the Trump shoes have the new shoe smell? Yes, absolutely. Jumping right into being a listener. Hopefully, when they start talking, you'll be able to listen through the live stream and everything will be coherent and conducive. But giving them a second.
Sorry, we had some technical difficulties. We'll just wait a few minutes for people to join. Sorry for the delay.
You guys hear that good? You guys, I'm assuming you guys could hear that, right?
The GM and happy launch day.
GM and happy launch day, they say. They launched, if you're not familiar, they launched an update to the platform. So they changed around the front end. It looks pretty clean, actually. It actually looks pretty dang clean. I'm going to take this X page over here and just kind of keep it to the side so that I can watch everything that's going on my triple monitor setup. And then we'll go around and do different pages. Sounds good. Can hear. Bullish, bullish, bullish. Good morning, Thuna. Good morning, Zaj. What's going on, MK? What's going on, Truth? How's everyone doing today? We got a small start to the day. A very small, tight niche crew
guys,
here.
can everybody hear me okay? Maybe a thumbs up if you can hear me.
This
Yeah,
is
you're
unique.
loud and clear.
I've not done this before. All right, well,
Awesome.
I can't even.
Sorry, guys, had some technical difficulties with Twitter on the front end. So
Yeah.
super excited to kick off this space and to kick off the conversation around Pump.Science. There's been a lot of exciting stuff happening. The team's been shipping, and we're just really pumped to have an open conversation about what the future is for Pump.Science. So thanks, everybody, for joining. We'll do some quick intros. You have Jillian here with Molecule and Pump.Science. I've been heading up growth and marketing. And we also have Benji. Benji, you're on the Pump.Science handle?
Yep. GM, everyone.
GM. Well, we're excited to share, like I said, the updates that we've been working on. what we're planning on covering is really the vision for Pump.Science and sharing some more of the problems that we're trying to solve in the space and how Pump.Science aims to do that.
I left the page. Why would they make a direct link to make you leave the space? What kind of UX is that? X. That is F. F in the chat for X right now. That was stupid. Who makes you leave the space just because you're navigating around? Unless the space just rugged. Yeah, that was stupid.
But I think where we should start, Benji, is the origin story
Back here then.
of Pump.Science. Really, what is the vision for Pump.Science and how it came to be?
100%. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how much people are familiar with the whole science and research space, but yeah, science is pretty broken. You know, the medical industry is pretty broken. You know, we can get into like why it's broken, how it's broken, all of those things. But I think what you'll hear is many people complain, you know, like pharma sucks, or, you know, the COVID vaccines were terrible, but no one is really trying to build an alternative solution. I think what we're genuinely trying to do here is build an alternative system to the pharmaceutical science funding and regulatory system. I know it's like pretty crazy and audacious, but you have to start somewhere. And so we're starting with worms and flies. And with
worms and flies, baby,
you know, kind of graduating eventually to having, you know, human testing on the tokens that get launched and the substances that get launched on Pump.Science. So that's really our long-term vision, is basically to kind of short circuit the entire medical system and build our own drug development pipeline to help people. And ultimately, like the first goal is to do it in longevity. Insane. So, you know, maybe a bit of background on longevity, but, you know, basically these are any compound that just helps you live longer. You know, a lot of people take supplements that they know about. You know, like turmeric is really common. People talk about NMN or resveratrol. I'm sure a lot of your parents are like, you know, have more money than they have time. Yeah, and so now they're thinking about,
no, not all of us grew up with money like
that gets me more time. And so really we don't have good answers to those questions. And a lot of the reason we built this, and we're going to continue to build it out, is to help answer some of those questions. So yeah, I hope that gives you a bit of background. We can get into the details, but at a high level, it's kind of it.
Yeah, I think one thing that's really cool is, for the first time, you know, I really feel like the technology has caught up to the vision. You know, we've all talked about like wanting open science, but really the premise of Pump.Science is using these robotic AI experimental, you know, robots to run these experiments and stream the science in an open way. And so by waiting for this moment, we have all the right forces coming together. You know, you have.
I am just live streaming right now the Pump.Science space.
Platform like Pump.Science to do it. So it's like really a pinnacle moment where all of these things are coming together.
Totally. And I think maybe one other piece just on that point is like, you know, bringing people into the science. So like for so long, you know, science has been done behind closed doors, kind of in secret. And we think that's bad. We think that, you know, in the same way that, you know, people get corrupted when decisions get made behind closed doors, and sunlight is the best disinfectant. And so, you know, by basically live streaming all of the science directly to the public, we think better quality science will get done too. You know, there will be more people that can audit it, that can question it. That's really like a big goal of this also, is to bring other people into the science to increase the quality of it as well.
For sure. And I think that's one thing to make super clear here, is that what is being streamed on Pump.Science is actually real science. They're real experiments. The compounds that we are testing are being tested in research methodologies that are coming down to the red line today. So that is one thing that's really cool about Pump.Science, is you are actually speculating around real open science.
Kind of makes sense.
And we hope to continue to build out the ability to do that in other ways beyond the, you know, experiment protocols we have so far. So I guess, Benji, we've kind of talked a little bit about what Pump.Science is and how it works, but maybe just like really laying out what is it and how does it actually work? How do these
Should put my
experiment
molecule
protocols
shirt
work?
on today instead of
And, there's
my
been a little bit
bio
of an
shirt.
origin story too. So, what we launched with and where we are. So maybe start with what Pump.Science is and how these protocols work.
Is that not what they were just doing?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's
Weren't
obviously a
they
lot
just
of
going over
places
what
you could
Pump.Science
start,
is?
but I think that where it all starts is thinking about like maybe sports betting. So, I think probably a lot of us in our lives like have friends that do sports betting. It's becoming super popular, but that doesn't really exist in science, right? Like it exists to some degree where you can basically like bet on biotech stocks, but even that you can watch that will not get done and get
It's a good question, Truth.
so
We'll talk. Let's write the questions down, and then after the space, we'll go through everything and kind of review.
sports betting
I'll be
to
talking during
science.
it, but
And so the
occasionally.
question is like, what do you bet on? Right? Like in you can almost gold. It's much more sports betting outside of politics.
I know. That's what Vitalik and I got into. Yes, meme coins. Yeah, yeah,
Basically, you can hold a coin, and there's not like this is the max amount you can
everything
make. It's
to
like
infinity.
basically the ceiling is pretty much
Everything
uncapped.
to infinity.
And so, giving people the opportunity to bet on science, but without a kind
This
of like a
man
capped ceiling,
called me out.
I think is what is like really like differentiates Pump.Science and is one of the big reasons we decided to go with this model. So why we went for a token-based model rather than a prediction market-based model. And so what the tokens represent is IP in the compounds. And so what does that mean?
Pay attention,
Historically,
guys. Pay
it's
attention.
meant, patent rights and the rights to commercialize a specific compound. But what it will mean for us, in addition to that, is also being able to enforce basically the rights of the token holders. And what I mean by that is like, if ever we commercialize a supplement that was developed on Pump.Science, then the token holders will be rewarded. So that kind of enforcement layer is what we're considering as like intellectual property, right? So, you can think of brands as intellectual property, right? So, you go to a store and they might have Advil and ibuprofen, which are the same thing, but you go for the Advil because you recognize the brand. We'll basically try to have the same kind of principles enforced on the Pump.Science layer where, only the approved brands.
You bet on Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson is hilarious. We can talk about that. Jake Paul stepping on Mike and then getting slapped.
Coins don't actually get rewarded and are basically kept out of the system. And so what this will hopefully do is like inspire more people to fund science and reward people for picking the best compounds. So yeah, I mean that's it from like one perspective. Hope that answers your question, Jillian. Maybe we can get into different components.
Nice.
People, Pump.Science is a platform that's gamifying research experiments starting in longevity, right? And we're hoping to do it at the speed of Pump Fun with the technology and the robotic.
Truth wasn't there for Mod Day, Derek. Neither were you.
Experiments that we're running, and it really lets people fund science, run science, trade, and then, like you said, own the tokenized intellectual property and outcomes of the experiments, which is, I would say, like really stringing the whole thing together, becoming, when you think about the science, that's one part of it, but it's really much bigger than that, and having the ability to own the outcomes.
Totally. And yeah, I think like we all can acknowledge like Pump Fund really has kind of captured the mind share of crypto this cycle. And so we kind of just wanted to build into what was already working and try and innovate on the tokenomic side of things. So, lots of projects are trying different bonding curves and, trying to adjust what's already working. And, we're trying to.
I don't care. You chose to have the child, Derek. You chose child over mod status. You can come next week. We'll do another mod day.
Definitely. And so I think backing up a little bit too, I know our team attended Solana Breakpoint and really rolled out the vision for Pump.Science at Solana Breakpoint. I think what would be good to touch on too, Benji, is the Solana Foundation grant that the team got to help build this, and really what that grant was funding and what's been built so far.
Totally. So yeah, no, absolutely blessed by the Solana Foundation grant that we got. It was a huge like vote of confidence, and very appreciative for their team. They've been absolutely incredible to work with so far.
Make you a mod.
And they've given us a ton of great advice.
Maybe no more
in
mod
addition
day,
to the grant that they gave us.
You
But
have to be a
the
mod
reason
eventually.
they initially like believed in us and wanted to support
None
us
of the mods
was
are even here right now.
you know, we were kind of leveraging what was already working on Solana and bringing an application to it. So, you know, the Solana Foundation loves that Pump Fund is bringing all these users onto Solana, but really at the end of the day, it's just for meme coin. And so when we showed them, hey, we can actually take these same mechanics and we can fund longevity research and bring supplements to people, I think that really captured their attention. So the different milestones of what we're working on them with is building our own fundraising protocol. So basically what this is it's like smart contracts or like Solana-based programs that sit around Pump Fund. And basically when a dev, as it's kind of known on Pump Fund, which is basically whoever submits the coin, in our case, it's somebody who submits a drug or a supplement, when they launch the token and like launch the compound, there's kind of a sniper bot that comes in and buys up some of the token supply. And what that allows to happen is basically as the token hits different market caps, some of those sniped tokens are sold off to pay for the experiments. So basically, like right before the token bonds from Pump Fund, meaning it hits like a 70K market cap and it transfers from the bonding curve to the automated market maker, which is Radium, there are some programmatic cells that basically sell like bits and pieces of that initial supply so that you can fund the worm experiment.
You should use JEET.
And so that worm experiment happens at a lab where we
should actually use JEET for that
to see does it increase longevity in worms. And then there's a next milestone, which we're debating to do with like 500K or $1 million, but it'll be somewhere in that range. But when the token hits that market cap,
says right there,
then more tokens are sold, and that funds the next round of experiments, which is flies. And then after that, so the next milestone would be like 4 million market cap.
3.
And, you know, for supplements, we can just go straight to humans and kind of integrate with wearable technology to see, you know, do these supplements actually help with human longevity, or, you know, or mice, depending on whether we can legally give it to people or not. So that's kind of like the end-to-end goal. That's what we're working with the Solana Foundation on, and why they gave us the grant is basically to take what's already working on Solana, which is Pump Fund, and some of the meme token mechanics, and bring them to this really cool and crazy application, which is, you know, developing products that give people more time, right? That's what these longevity products are at the end of the day, is like something you can take every day that literally buys you time in your life.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the thing there too is building out everything so programmatically, right? Like if certain market cap milestones are met, then the goal is to have everything set up so that the experiments can be initiated without someone having to say that, okay, it's go time. I know that's the goal. And we're certainly building towards that, but having everything run in a programmatic manner so that it really is autonomous experimental protocol.
Totally. And we want the whole system to also be unruggable, right? Like one of the big issues with meme coins
is getting a lot of traction, guys. Look at how slow the website's being.
I mean, there's a scam Pump.Science token that just got launched.
Yeah, I saw
the dev,
like 4 of them.
By the way, this is not affiliated with us. If you see a Pump.Science token that got launched on Pump Fund, it is not our team. They're probably going to rug pull you, right? And so, you know, what we care about is building a system that is completely unruggable. So that's kind of where the sniper bot comes in, is it's programmatic cells rather than, you know, any person having control over that sell button. It's literally a code it's a piece of code that's run on the Solana virtual machine. So 100% agree. It's one of the big issues with meme coins, and it's why we built that
Survival
ecosystem.
rate. Control,
Yeah,
zero
some
survival
questions
rate.
getting to just from the
That's
community
funny.
is when will this experiment start, or are all the experiments going to be run? And I think this just goes to show you too that ultimately the market will decide what experiments get run and what science gets advanced and how far. And so,
I'm spamming
really
the clap emoji.
people are having a say in what science gets done versus there being a centralized decision maker. So,
Wasn't
if you have
raider rule. I was
any
just admin. Well,
any
we had a
questions about like, hey, how do I
restructuring
get,
there,
how does
right?
this experiment get off the ground? It's really the community of people and people,
Why didn't they live stream
buying
the
the token and
worms?
hitting
Wait a
certain
minute.
market caps that will
They should have
move
live streamed the
a
worms.
project to the next level.
100%. And I think this is
Project updates in an hour.
But people love it. And so if you can turn voting into a trading system, then, and this is kind of what the Futarchy team is trying to do on Solana.
That was smart,
which is
what he
very
just
cool,
said.
and we take a lot of
Turn
inspiration
voting
from,
into a trading
market-driven
system.
decision makings,
Instead
we're
of-
really
yeah.
excited about, where there's kind of this protocol. It's like there's level 1, which is the worms, level 2, which is the flies, level 3, which is humans or mice, right? Like that's all set. And then the rest is just about, okay, well, do the tokens hit the necessary market caps to run those experiments? To us, that's much simpler to explain. It's much easier for users to understand. And we think will actually accelerate the science much, much more than requiring everyone to wait and go vote and wait for the voting period to end. It's not as fun as just like going and trading coin, right? So I think it's a super important point.
Yeah, make science fun again. Make it fun.
Exactly.
And I know that's something too that, you just touched on it briefly, but a lot of thinking went into the design to make sure that both the experiments that are being run could go as fast as the, community and the crypto appetite. And then to your point, right?
Those
like
the flies,
the
yeah.
crypto infrastructure that's
There's
put
a
in
big
place
lag in the
isn't
stream
limiting
right
the
now.
science. So really finding that
These are the
intersection
flies.
of how things are coming together to create an efficient system.
Totally.
Okay, so I think the next place to go would be to talk about, Riff and Euro. And there's obviously
go,
where we are
baby.
today, but then
Here we
it
go.
could
They're
be
going to
good
talk
touch
about Riff
on
and Euro.
Riff and Euro and worms and what that experiment was, and
They really
how
are, though,
that
Beagle.
was conducted, and then
People
how
are
we got to where we are today.
buying the science experiments thinking it's just a meme.
So, yeah.
Jesus.
So the question
So Riff is better than Euro.
We just launched is, does the same hold true in Fly? That's something we're really interested to find out. One of the things you want to see before taking a compound is, does it extend life across different organisms? If it does, that's a really bullish signal that the compound will increase lifespan in humans. So that's kind of why there's this, progressive de-risking of like different levels to the game, because, ultimately what you want people trying are the things that work in worms and they work in flies and they work in mice, right? If something works in all three of those well, and by working, I mean it extends life.
Truth,
then,
I love that. I am also
probably
bullish on
much
life.
safer
Truth.
to get to a person,
Hell yeah.
and
It was
probably
Riff that
benefit
did
them
better
much
than
more.
Euro,
There's
correct?
no guarantees. Of course, like we are not worms, we're not flies, and we're not mice, but we actually are pretty similar to flies, and we're actually pretty similar to worms. I think people, try to say that we're completely different, and we are somewhat different, but we're 40% similar to worms, and we're 60% similar to flies.
This man's saying that we're similar to worms. Humans equal worms.
Yeah, and then I think the question is like, what happens to Riff and Euro from here? So Riff is an antibiotic. We can't give it as a supplement. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it to mice and see if it extends lifespan in mice. And so we'll have to work with a CRO to get that up and running, but that will only kick off if RIF hits a $4 million market cap. And then with Euro,
it's there now.
what we're going to do, because we can sell it as a supplement and give it to people, we're going to try run a human trial and basically give it to a bunch of people and try and stream wearables data basically to Pump.Science and let people speculate on that. And then with the ultimate goal of basically developing a supplement store where people can buy Euro, and then whatever like revenues comes from the sale of Euro go back to buy back the token. So that's really the end game, is basically building an Amazon style marketplace of all these different supplements, and whatever like profits are made, those go to the token holders in the form of buybacks, like token buybacks and burns. So what you basically have is like a deflationary asset that represents the best performing and most sold compounds. That's the vision.
Yeah, I know we've talked about like the unboxing moment,
huge,
like
guys.
being able to get, open up a box and see the supplement that you speculated on at its earliest stages in worms, and then to have something hopefully ultimately delivered to you with potentially an insert, right, of like the data that is behind this supplement and the potential to enroll in a decentralized human trial, which
this is pretty crazy, guys.
That's a pretty sick end game.
I mean,
if you enjoy the live stream, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. We go live Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Talk about decentralized science. You are not going to find another channel like this.
Can you imagine if you could buy a supplement and go and see, not like the identities of the people, but go see all of the raw data that came from people's wearables that shows that it improves heart rate variability and it improves VO2 max. And you can like actually see that information and speculate on it. Like, this is completely different and like novel to what others like supplement marketplaces or brands offer in terms of, marketing materials. So
back to yesterday, I'm thinking of ED DAO testing on flies and mice. Sus.
Yeah, I know we have time for Q&A at the end and would love to hear people's thoughts on
if you guys have questions,
model,
I can be the conduit. And, if you guys
that's the vision we're trying to build to get there. So there's certainly a roadmap to get there. That all that can't be enabled overnight, but we're actively thinking and working and iterating too, based on really sentiment and
I'll make Derek a
ideas from the community. So yeah, excited to hear people think.
We have a lot to talk about after this, though.
Okay, so Benji, today Riff and Euro fly experiments are live, and would love to hear, what data will be available for those experiments. And there's probably like the some data that can be used too as like leading indicators or like maybe some alpha. But yeah, I would just love to hear
C90, chill.
What's live and how to think about the data that's on the platform.
Hell yeah. So basically what's happening.
You'll never find all my wallets. I promise you that. Yes, here's the flies, Benji. Thank you. Yep. No, we're here. Yeah, both. Mm-hmm. Oh, you want Riff? Yep, no, we're here.
Basically, these are videos taken up
7 minutes.
And
well,
posted to Pump.Science every hour. This is like the raw data.
A 7-minute video every hour is not in real time. Basically. That's okay.
So at the top is the scoreboard, right? It's how many of the flies, what percent of the flies are alive. Basically, in both the experiment group, which is taking rifampicin or Euro, or the control, which is not. So your goal is basically to figure out which, like, build the drug, basically keep more of the flies alive for longer than the control. So the control is basically to compare against. It's like the two different teams. So yeah, like that's on the feed tab.
None
and
have
you
died
can basically
yet.
go back and you can see previous videos if you want. I think what's kind of interesting is that flies are a special type of animal where they're really active during dawn and dusk, and they're really quiet during the day. So there's like there should be some night cam videos in there as well showing the movement. But yeah, basically there's a box around each fly as they move around. There's computer vision, like AI algorithms that are being run on all
What
of
an
this data.
awful life for these flies.
And also
They
what you'll
aren't even
see
going to
is
give them
like
like
that
a
there are
fly
four tubes,
park. They're just going to leave them in
and on
tubes.
top of the
Give
tube
them a
that's
park or something.
relevant to the
Have them have a
drug,
cage.
it'll
What
say
an awful
compound on
life.
top of it. And then if you, at the
Wait, what about
top of
compound?
the experiment page, if you click control, you'll
Uh-huh.
see which one is the control experiment that it's being
Control.
compared against.
Compound.
So definitely recommend you guys like
Oh.
go and check out the site
Okay,
for
you
like
see
what you
that?
can actually see
So
and get a sense for like what the
this,
actual
all right,
data is.
this is the compound tube. And then if we go to control, this is the control tube. And then I'm imagining that if you were to go and change this to euro, it'll probably be compound control. That's cool.
Just because the experiments just started.
It's
So
Squid
the
Games
AI
for
algorithms
flies.
need some
That's
data
fucked.
to work with to post that data, but those will be posted once daily, right? So
The
once per
data
day,
for the
and it'll
charts.
all be released in the Telegram when this happens.
Oh, okay. They're
We have like
showing
a
their
bot
Telegram
that's
now.
basically posting every time that
What about the
data is
worms?
released. But this is like processed data. And so you can think of these as like stats, right? So, you know, if someone has a ton of like passing yards in a football game, you know their team is probably going to win the game, right? That's kind of the idea that's going on
This guy's
with the
comparing
chart section,
passing
which
yards
is,
to
you know,
number of
you
flies
have
who have
the
died.
count, which is survival. It's basically how many of the
Distance.
flies
What, the
have
worms
died.
crawled?
But you also have speed and distance. And so this is how fast are the flies moving? How far are they moving? And so this is meant to be like a good leading indicator to tell you, will the flies
Not very far.
do the flies
They're
look
not
like
flying
they're going
that
to
far.
survive longer? If they're moving faster, if they're moving more, then they're probably going to live longer than if they're not. So this is meant to be like a leading indicator to tell you, hopefully, like, will the flies live longer before they do? Because the experiment's going to last 90 days. This is like 3 months, which is like an eternity in crypto. So we wanted to give people something every day that could help them like make a better trading decision. So that's what's going on with the different like data points.
Yeah, so just to recap, when you land on Pump.Science and click into a project, some people have said, what is 65 of 65 or all of these, you know, little boxes that I can move between? Those are updates that are pushed every 4 hours.
It's every 1 hour. It's
every 1 hour.
surgery
Sorry,
on
every
a
1 hour.
grape.
And the update at
I
the
think he's
top,
doing a good job
the
explaining.
caption
I
at the
agree,
top
Truth. This is really
how
good.
long until the next update is pushed, which will be a video. And then once daily, the charts update with some fly stats. And you can use that to help triangulate the overall likelihood of those flies living longer. So some real data for you to process, raw data, draw your own conclusions, and then updates at the end of the day.
Totally. And where the alpha comes in is like actually looking at the raw videos,
Okay.
And trying to make predictions before the
Stop
AI
messing
model
here.
does, right?
Okay.
So the AI model will like start to predict how many flies have died, but it needs the whole day to make that prediction. And so where like users can actually have alpha over the AI is if they look, you know, if they look at the raw data, they look at a specific fly and they say, well, that fly hasn't moved in a few hours. They'll actually be able to know, you know, like before the AI even reports, you know, is that fly dead or not, and does that affect the ultimate outcome of the experiment? So this is where the kind of gaming component is. We want this to be a video game, right? And so this is where it actually becomes a game, is and you can have alpha because you can actually make predictions before the AI reads them out. But you have to be kind of locked in if you want to do that.
I love that the humans still have an edge over AI.
Exactly. So that they can fall trading on top of it. It's just like enable anyone to build off of it.
All right, Truth.
I had a conversation last Friday with Michael.
You relax with that. Mods.
I think even too giving people a little bit of a TLDR on Track Bio, who's running these experiments, where they're out of, you know, what they're all about would be good too.
100%. So yeah, Track Bio, who is the
Track Bio.
Huge shout out to them. They're producing all of this data. They're just outside of Washington, D.C. in the U.S., in Virginia. And I went to go visit their
Right.
labs
I just
last
dox
week.
them, I guess.
So I can attest that they're very legit. They've got a like, you know, small but growing lab where they basically have closets full of these flies and
Jesus.
cameras that are basically like recording them. And so they're trying to do this at scale.
Okay,
And we want to
that's pretty
grow with
awful.
them and basically like bring
Those
a
poor
ton of new
flies.
compounds for them to test. And so, yeah, they've built a bunch of computer vision algorithms, and they want to do their own kind of like longevity drug development pipeline using the data that's produced from all their AI models and all of their different fly tests. So yeah, like we're working with them. They also do mice testing, so we may work with them for mice too. So you can kind of imagine the system where instead of like a tube of flies, it's a cage of mice.
Okay.
And you know, a
Then
lot
a
of
cage
the
of humans
same
next after that
principles
one.
apply. But yeah, so that's kind of what they're up to. They're trying to bring down the cost of running all these experiments by automating as much of it as possible instead of needing a bunch of like lab technicians to go
C90,
count how
good
many
question.
flies are dead
This
or how
is
many
the
mice
Pump
are dead,
Science
or how
X
fast they're moving,
space
or all
on
these things that
Pump
you know
Science and the
no human
experiments.
could ever
So
do. They're trying to do it all with
we're just
computer
listening, and
vision,
I'm giving live
with
commentary.
cameras and AI.
Then
So
I'm gonna give a
we're
wrap
super
up, a little
pumped about
summary
working
at the
with
end.
them. You know, we think they totally get it. Their experiments are pretty cost effective to run. And so, yeah, we're super excited about working with them. Huge shout out to Michael on that team.
Yeah, he was awesome. And we can reshare the space that we did with him for everybody to take a look. It was a great combo. And just for context too, I'm not sure
You guys have any
the
questions? We're about to
exact
do an AMA. If you have
efficiencies
questions,
on
drop them in
the
the
flies,
chat, and
but
I'll join
I
in
do
and
know that
ask them.
Aura told us that one worm bot was the equivalent of 5 researchers. So you can imagine the efficiencies at the
One
worm level
bot equals
with the
5
human
researchers.
labor required, and
Don't know
it
what that means,
goes
but-
down drastically. So the only other caveat that variable that we have to work around is even with these fly experiments, it was hard to say exactly when the experiments would go live because they, tracked bio actually had to hatch the eggs and get the flies to a certain point in order to start the experiment. So there is some other variables we can't control
Stem
for.
cells.
Totally. And yeah, so I'm in the Pump.Science Telegram right now, and people are saying that they want to hear less about the flies and more about the crypto. So just trying to give the people what they want.
Of course
Yeah,
they do.
so I think one of the questions was like, why is Binance so bullish on DeSci?
Okay,
And so,
that's a
yeah, we'll
dumbass
definitely have to
question.
get Paula on.
Sorry.
Paul is like the founder of the
I'm gonna
Bio
freak
Protocol and Molecule. And so he's been kind of talking to CZ a bunch and is basically the one who got that deal done. But yeah, I think Binance and CZ specifically are so bullish on DeSci because, I think a lot of and you see this in Brian Armstrong too, right? Like these guys develop these hyper successful exchanges.
I hate Telegram conversations
and
as well.
I think they want to do something more with their life than just like
Telegram
help
is
people
awful.
trade crypto.
I hate Telegram.
And so I think a lot of them
I'm
turn to
forced
science
to
as
use
that
it.
way to have like a broader impact on the world. And I think CZ is super excited about biotech, and he wants to figure out how does he use his money to actually help humanity on the physical layer and on the health and like medical side of things. So that's why I think CZ is interested.
Doesn't sound like it, truth.
He sees how broken the system is, just like us. And, he's always been bullish.
Because with this, if a company were to come in and acquire 50% of the token, all they would do is pump the price, and it automatically sells the token to fund the experiments. So they wouldn't.
You can go watch.
They would own a chunk of it, but it would just pump everyone's bags.
And like what he thinks about it. But that seems to be it. It's like he realizes that there's these institutions around science, kind of like you have in the financial system with these big banks and how that got disrupted by DeFi. I think he basically sees the opportunity of DeSci to disrupt academic institutions as being the place where all the research gets done.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the power of decentralization for acceleration, because it seems like a lot of what he, from the videos was talking about was like the power of running many experiments to basically de-risk and accelerate things faster versus putting all of your eggs in one basket and hoping that, letting this one really long experiment play out, but having really more smaller starting points.
Totally. And yeah,
CZ
said this almost verbatim, which is like, rather than spending so much money on one experiment, why not launch a bunch of mini experiments And then what you realize is it starts to look
weird,
exactly like what we're trying to build with Pump.Science, where it's like a bunch of meme coins getting launched, and you have to kind of pick the gem. It's the same concept that CZ is talking about, and I think that he's excited about. So yeah, I think that's spot on.
So I think it's probably good. I mean, I know we've covered a good overview. Maybe we open it up to questions, and we can certainly close out with some Q1 goals. But are there any questions from people on, fly experiments, crypto, anything so far that we've shared? Would be happy to field any questions from people.
Yeah. Also, if you want to just drop them in the Pump.Science Telegram, I'm
Yeah.
just on that right now. Let me see if there's any.
We've got it pulled up. I haven't seen any new ones come through yet.
Okay.
You guys have any questions for them?
I'm just looking now.
Thank you, Beagle.
Typing.
Okay, I clicked too many buttons and now they've like me.
There it is. There it is.
We should not name them. Any plans for next project? Yes, Zaj, but they're not announcing any of it yet. I agree, C90. Oh, here. Oh, for Pump.Science. There we go. I was going to raise my hand, but I figured someone would ask. Excuse me?
So basically, so I think it's important for them. That's the plan to do basically 10 days of work. That's where 2 coins get launched a day, and hopefully like that funds more projects, more science, and then like we'll go from there. But yeah, those will start again on the worms.
Gift of longevity for Christmas.
Exactly. For Christmas, you're getting time.
No better gift.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you hear it?
We have what will happen to the flies after we transition to rats?
They'll be killed.
The flies will unfortunately probably die, but it's important to remember that the coins don't represent the flies. The coins represent the compound, and so it'll be the same coins if they graduate to mice or humans.
That was the first question. When?
Yeah. All right.
That was the question.
All right.
God bless the flies.
God bless. Thank you for your service.
It's a super interesting.
Yeah. The experiment is literally how long will these flies last?
I was going to say, community grown.
which is ultimately like what we all want to see, and is like such a bullish signal.
The whole point of the experiment is to see how long they live. The experiment ends when they all die.
Yeah, no, honestly, like our goal is not to get a bunch of KOLs to shill, but rather to be completely community driven. And it seems to be working so far. And we'll do our best to activate CZ and Vitalik and like all of these known crypto KOLs, but ultimately like they don't really shill projects individually. But we'll try and red pill them organically and see if
they're talking like I'm not literally sitting in the chat right now.
And things like that.
Benji, one important question that we got is, what is the process of publishing a new experiment? That I think would be good to cover.
Like creating a new compound and token.
Yeah, that's the way I read it. But if our interpretation's off, let us know in Telegram.
Yeah, so I think we're still trying to figure out what this should look like. We want just because with Pump Fund, you can launch a meme, but ultimately like that doesn't hurt anyone in the physical world. Like maybe it offends somebody, but with chemicals, like you have illicit drugs and you have hazardous chemicals that can actually cause harm to the scientists that are handling them. So we just have to be like really careful about what we launch. I know it's annoying. Like most of the submissions that we got were like, yeah, give the worms ketamine or give the worms cocaine. Like, yeah, we'd all love to get the worms high, but ultimately it's illegal and we'll get in trouble. And there will be no more experiments if that happens. So, we just have to be a little bit careful. So we're trying to take that cautiously.
Another question, if compounds graduate to humans, then what happens? Can we buy rifamycin using RIF?
Yeah, so we can't sell rifamycin just because it's a prescription drug, but we can sell euro.
Okay, you guys done with this? I'm down to do the wrap up and then get onto our normal.
What we can do with that is if we have a trial, we'll sell the compounds, and we'll create like a branded supplement that everyone can buy, and then we'll basically like launch human trials where you can report data, and we can actually basically the same way that we're streaming the data from like the flies and the worms, we can also stream like the human data of like from people's wearables.
Trying to get me banned. Yeah. All right. I think I'm done with this.
That answers your question, but yeah.
You guys good? Are we ready for the wrap up and then the rest of it? I think we'll be able to answer the rest of the questions you guys have. So does Pump.Science.
Do you believe CC will list us? I don't know, Jillian. What do you think?
I mean, I'm bullish.
I'm bullish.
DeSci on the map.
We'll ask CZ.
I see a question from Cherokee. Do we need to pay to be there? Not sure what you mean by that. If you could clarify, would be great. Someone said, so no 4 million market cap, then no mice. Question mark.
That's correct. So this is the important point, which is like, we don't make the decisions. You make the decisions, right? With your tokens, like in the market caps of the coins. That's what determines what experiments get run.
So RIF already hit 4 million.
And I think that's the thing
Euro
too. Like
not.
It's a similar model to Pump Fund where like not everything graduates. So, just letting the community decide.
Exactly. Like we don't want to say what the best ideas are. We want everyone else to help. The same kind of thing that Pump Fund figured out. It's like rather than.
Okay, I'm done with that. All right, so let me go ahead and do a quick little summary for everyone who joined later and didn't catch the entire space, and then this way also I can clip it and post this independently. Riff gonna take Euro, gonna explode. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Let me go ahead and change around the screen. I think this one's a good one. And then I'll put myself in the bottom corner. What is this? I don't know what that was. Let me just move this. Boom, boom. All right, cool. So, Decentralized Science has officially reached Solana with 2 molecules being launched on Pump.Fund. However, this time it is called Pump.Science. The 2 molecules in question are Euro and RIF, both sitting around a $2 to $3 million market cap right now. Pump.Science is taking a very unique approach to the scientific model, in which instead of what most of the DAOs are doing right now is that you get a bunch of token holders with governance tokens and you vote on what science gets funded. The Pump.Science model, you are voting with your money. So once these molecules reach a certain level of market cap, given that they're tokens, once they reach certain levels of market cap, they'll automatically sell some of the token supply to initiate research in worms, then flies, then mice, and then potentially humans if all goes well. The idea is to be able to launch different supplement lines, and we just got off of an X space with the Pump.Science team, and they were talking about this entire model, and they likened it to the Amazon style marketplace, but for supplements. So let's go through a bunch of different things here and kind of give you guys my thoughts since the space literally just ended. So like I said, they're trying to turn voting into a trading decision rather than voting with tokens on proposals. They're letting the market decide. And now Pump.Science is quite literally using Pump Fund and the bonding curve that they have there to launch different DeSci tokens on Solana. Pump.Science got the backing from the actual Solana Foundation. They received a grant as the first DeSci platform on top of Solana. So all of that liquidity that's been locked up in Solana's ecosystem is having an outlet right now. And as DeSci is starting to get pumped from CZ, Brian Armstrong, Vitalik, blah, 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 everyone in the industry basically who knows anything about the advancement and the acceleration of technology is getting excited in decentralized science. And so this is access to all of the liquidity that's locked up in Solana. I have something very exciting though, because a lot of people are feeling like they missed the boat on these two molecules. I will say they're both sitting at $2.5 million market cap, so it is fairly early considering we have a picture of a dead squirrel, Peanut the squirrel, RIP, at a $2 billion market cap, which is 1,000x from here. We have no idea how high these molecules could go if the traditional meme community wants to really accelerate these. Now, with that to the side, they announced on this space that they were going to do 20 new compounds, so 20 new tokens. They're going to do 10 to 20 days of Worms Miss, meaning leading up into Christmas, they'll be launching 10 to 20 new tokens, 1 to 2 tokens per day for that entire month. And these, again, are just like Pump.Fund, meaning they're starting out at a $5.5 thousand market cap, because they're sniping some of the supply immediately. And then they are going to be running up. Once they get off of Radium, they sell at the 69K market cap to fund the worm experiments. And the cool part is that they are live streaming these experiments on the Pump.Science and the Pump.Fund platform. So literally right now, as we're speaking, you can go look at the experiments they're running right now. You have the compound tube with the flies who were given this I just butchered that so badly. But they were given this riff compound and they're sitting in a tube right now. And they every day are giving a 7-minute video update, or every hour, a 7-minute video update on how the flies are doing, so that you can actually go ahead and see that these guys seem, objectively, this is the compound. This tube of flies were given the drug. This tube to the right is the control. And you can see that they're labeled pretty clearly. And so if you look, these guys look a lot more lively than these guys. These guys at the top are moving around a lot more. So objectively, we can see that the ones given this riff compound are having better longevity effects than the ones who did not. But over time, every day, they will be giving updates, and you'll be able to chart how many of the flies are still alive compared to the ones who were given the drug versus the ones in the control, how fast on average these flies are moving, and the distance that they moved or that they flew. And they're going to be doing this with worms, then flies, then mice, and they'll be live streaming the whole thing. Pump.Fund, you can live stream stuff. So they give you a bunch of stats on it, which is very, very interesting to me. I think it's a really cool way to not only gamify the scientific initiative and the scientific method, but also use crypto for what it is. Let's be honest, people are in crypto for the money. And so instead of governance tokens and instead of making everyone go log into a portal, stake their tokens and vote, they're just like, hey guys, once we get to predetermined market caps for each of these drug therapies, we're going to automatically sell some of them, and then we're going to go fund the experiments. And this is really, honestly, a fascinating way to go about it. So That space was pretty bullish. Let's see if there's anything else that I missed on it. The goal is to make a supplement store, and any revenue that goes from these supplements is going to go to buy back the token and burn some of the token for token holders. RIF is an antibiotic, so there is no supplement that can work. So they're going to go for humans. They can't just launch a supplement with an antibiotic. So they're going to go and just do the experiments with mice. Euro, they are going to attempt to do a supplement and have a human trial where they will live stream the information from wearables. So they'll give you like a ring. Maybe they partner with Axon or something. They give you an Apple Watch and they collect the data and live stream the data, which will be very fascinating and honestly it's different. It'll set it apart compared to the rest of the supplements out there because to my knowledge, there are no supplements that you can go and see literal live stream data from the trials that they did to get the supplement approved. So this is groundbreaking. This is accelerating. And I feel really bad for the flies. Someone in the live stream asked, hey man, what's going to happen to the flies once the experiment's done? Well, the experiment is how long can these flies live? So sadly, when the experiment is done, the flies are dead. Your time's your most valuable asset. Hopefully this is worth investing it into. I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay. That was not for you guys. That was not an exit of the live stream. We're still live. I was just doing that for the clip so I can go back and snag that. Let's go back to the normal view so I can see all the comments above my head. What's going on, guys? That was a very, very fun X space. I kind of enjoyed doing this too. You guys had a lot of good questions, and I'm here to answer those questions for everyone as best I can. Did I cover everything in that little recap? We're taking... Yeah, this is fun. Is it illegal to give the flies special K? I have no idea, my guy. Probably not, to be honest. They could probably give him special K and see what the experiment is. This will be super fly. Riff gonna tank, Euro gain explode. Gonna explode. We're betting on Euro versus Riff. You know what's funny? It kind of is. Now that Riff is known, like Riff was taking off more than Euro, but now that it's known that Riff can't go to human trials, but Euro can, Euro looks like the one that people are going to continue to speculate on. I will say, most people probably have no idea that that was just said. So this will probably get eaten up a little bit. How many of you guys got into some of these back here when it was chilling at a $4,000, a $2,000 market cap, when it was literally dead? Literally pumped, dumped, nobody cared. And then they were like, wait a minute, we can make money on these. I have questions, still thinking. All right, Truth, you take your time. Go ahead and bite your nails. All right. Mods, get them out of here. I don't need no comments on my nails. I know my loading screen is, my default setting is to be chewing on my nails. All right, it's a habit. I will break it eventually. Maybe, probably not, to be honest, but mods. I'm gonna switch to the computer to type the question. God damn. I was always told there was no price on life. Well, Pump.Science is working on tallying that up. Oh yeah, they're saying that they're quantifying time. Longevity studies on the blockchain. They're quantifying time. Yeah, right. So Pump.Science, first DeSci project on Solana, funding from the Solana Foundation. That's why I was confident in these molecules. That's why when they were chilling at like $5,000 market caps, I was like, hey guys, just saying, molecules probably not going to let these fail. I mean, they're probably not going to let them fail, guys. Just saying. Pretty crazy to see the run up. $10 million market cap equals human life. I would venture to say that most, if not all of the projects they launch are going to get to that human life stage just because it is such a novel thing and $10 million market caps is pennies compared to what we've seen from Pump Fun. Actually pennies. These live streams are going to be funny when there's mice running around. Hopefully they give them a little bit better of lives than the tubes for the flies. It's like pumping coins and feeling useful for society. That's what I'm saying. Good, Ignis. This is a big ass account with worse engagement than mine, except for this one. This guy, apparently. All right, we'll keep those comments to myself. My hair is looking a little bit goofy. Let's be honest, a lot of wrong people gonna get first access to life extending procedures. You're 100% spot on, Dan. It's all gonna be pay to play, which is the dystopian part of the future, which hopefully we can get a little bit of fixing with democratizing the access to the information. At least in this model, while it is still gonna be the people who get, let's say Euro extends life by 10%, theoretically. Okay, I'm not saying it's going to, probably. Let's be real, probably ain't going to do anything. But let's say it could do 10% extension on life. The people who could get it are going to be the people who can afford it. But at least now everyone's going to know that it exists because it's on an open access platform. And theoretically, you could come in, buy some of the token, and then as people buy the supplement, urolithin, as people buy the supplement, you might actually benefit financially from it. So one thing I was going to add to the summary is I do believe that these are probably securities. Let's be real. What is the Howey test with these? Are you making money off of the efforts of others? The answer is explicitly yes. The answer is explicitly yes. I mean, they programmatically are selling off parts of the tokens to fund experiments. However, the worm experiments are done with a bot, right? There is nobody involved in that, which is something else they said. The worm experiments are done with a bot, so they can save money on human work. So I'm calling PETA. Save the fly. I don't think PETA gives a shit about flies, though. I don't think PETA cares about mice either. When I was studying, when I was getting my bachelor's of science, my professor was telling me that when they used to run experiments on mice, the way that they would kill the mice to test, because you have to, like, let's say you have a mouse, you feed it as much vitamin E as you possibly can to see what the effects are going to be of overdosing on vitamin E for an entire lifetime. They would shove vitamin E down these things' throats, and then to kill them, you grab it by its tail. This was back decades ago, okay? Hopefully they don't do it anymore. But what he said was you would grab it by its tail, you'd back away from the table, and you'd roundhouse and slam it into the table to kill it. That's how they were killing these mice. And then they would open it up and see what kind of damage was done by the vitamin E. When will the flies be swapped for the mice? How many more weeks? So theoretically, good question, Pip. Good question. Theoretically, because these molecules just absolutely ripped up and hit the milestones, right? Market cap for flies is 1 million. Market cap for mice is 3 million. We saw Riff already hit over that $3 million threshold. So theoretically, Riff here in the next week or two, however long it takes for them to set up the mice experiment, they might be running in parallel. So we might get the fly experiment and the mice experiment live streaming at the same time. So just to keep you updated on that, it could be in parallel. Look at how lively these guys are. We better not miss out on the next Ratatouille due to these Euro experiments. I agree. Dude, how could you not feel bad for these little guys? I know they're theorized that they're not like sentient, but I mean, they're pretty obviously moving around living organisms. I think the more that we find out as humans that other things are sentient, you know, it gets me, I could go on a very long rant, so if you guys don't want to talk about it, feel free to divert me back into the topic, but until I see a message about it, I'm going to start going down this rant. They found out recently, and by recently I mean within the last like decade or so, that like plants outside will talk to each other through the roots in the dirt. They'll use mycelium networks to send messages back and forth and actually tell, for example, other trees that there are mineral deposits for nutrients, aka, hey man, there's food over here. If you're hungry, you can grow your roots over here and grab some of the food. They were finding that they would send literal messages through the mycelium networks underground to tell the other plants of danger and different stimuli. If that's not a level of consciousness, I don't think that people truly understand what consciousness is. Now I get they could just be saying, hey, here's a stockpile of nutrients, let me go spread the message, and it's just like a subconscious thing. I'm not saying that they have like the same potential to think, although I don't think we can rule it out, given that we also know that plants emit frequencies on a different spectrum that we can't hear, which have been documented to be changing based off of, like, if you cut the leaf off of a plant, it emits a certain frequency that the other plants around them potentially are picking up, and aka the plant is screaming just in a frequency that we can't hear. So they're communicating to each other via the mycelium networks underground and via frequencies through the air. They're talking to one another, and these are plants. You don't think the flies are doing this? You don't think the flies have a little fly language and they're like, yo, bro, what the hell is this tube? What are we doing? I mean, maybe they don't know, like they wouldn't know anything else because they were born in a lab and then they're going to die in a lab, and that's just their universe to them. Just like your pets, like, never get to leave and go outside. They have no idea anything outside of just this room. That's my rant, though. That's my rant. A little philosophical stuff there, but it's not even philosophy. It's quite literally the more we're learning about the world, the more we're realizing humans are not the only thing that exists and is sentient. Hope they won't release them, as they may be more annoying than regular flies. The flies will be dead. The flies will be dead. They're called living things. Facts. They bear fruits. Facts. Okay, so boxing kind of lost popular interest. It wasn't socially popular. Jake Paul kind of brought it back into popularity. The skill of the boxers weren't as important as the KOLs building hype. I agree, Truth. Completely agree with that. I very much so agree with that statement, Truth. C90, oh lord, if the trees start getting AI and attacking us like Lord of the Rings, I'd prefer to be the fly. The cool part about that is that the trees don't have opposable thumbs, so they will not be making the rocks think. They will not be building silicon-based chips to do computation. The rocks can stay cognitive? I don't even know. The trees can't make the rocks think. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. What is this live stream today? Books also, because they are living plants. Well, the book used to be alive, maybe, but now the book is dead. At one point, if these are made from fiber, at one point, each page could have been living, but it also feels like there's some plastic in these pages. So, how does Pump.Science get interest when people only care about entertainment/memes? Because they are on the meme chain. So they only care about entertainment and memes. They could create a polymarket style thing and number each one of these flies or each one of these mice, potentially, especially when they get to the mice, like, and they're starting to chart out how far the mice run or something like that. Which mouse over the duration of the experiment is going to move the most. You could create on top of this a betting platform. Or theoretically, you are quite literally betting. I don't know that they're going to do that, right? That's just my idea. We could do that. Maybe we do that on Polymarket or something. Or actually, wait a minute. I'm seeing some potential here. Science Verification Network, SVN Haas. They on their website, they have the poly markets for science. So we could quite literally open up bets on this, relate them back to Pump Fun, and if we could get Pump Fun to number each of the flies, we could bet on which fly is going to live the longest. Here we go. Now we're getting, that's degen, guys. That is degen. Now we're getting into the realm of degen. It is kind of a meme in and of itself. They're live streaming flies running around, you know? That's the segue to hemp shilling. Books can now be hemp. Yeah, they can be though. They could use the hemp to make the paper instead of just cotton. The hemp industry is emerging quite rapidly. And I know for a fact this one's going to cook. So far they've raised 17 ETH. So somebody a couple days ago, I guess, bought some more of this at $115,000 market cap. You're still looking at a tiny thing, very tiny. This is a little bit different than Pump Fun, and it's on Base instead of Solana. So Science isn't popular right now. I agree. I think the industry KOLs are changing that. I think that we have the likes of CZ and Brian Armstrong attempting to change the popularity of science, make science fun again. We also have RFK coming into office potentially with Trump doing Make America Healthy again. Everyone's going to be paying attention to science more now than at potentially ever, aside from during COVID when everyone became mini pseudoscientists. At this point, we have the people who, like, it's the rebound after the rebound in the interest of science after COVID, right? So we saw like science, let's say, was like this, a slight uptrend over the course of history. And then we saw COVID and everyone wanted to know about the science all of a sudden. And then nobody gave a shit about science anymore. And they're like, enough of this. And I think that right now what we're seeing is a rebound to which we'll find a new norm for people who care about science. And I would say that we are probably somewhere in the ballpark right here. I think we're coming into that new norm. And now more than ever in the history, people care about science. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense kind of? Like 2022, 2021, nobody really cared about science anymore. They were like, just be done with COVID. I don't give a fuck. And then now 2023, 2024, as the science results are coming back from the COVID stuff, people are starting to pay attention again. And now the onset of decentralized science with the potential for people to make money in the industry, I really do think it's going to open up a golden era in science. It's just going to, like, this period here, it might flatline. If we're lucky, it might come up here and people really care. But it's going to take about 10 years or so for this golden era of DeSci to grab hold. Now, that's not to say we can't make an egregious amount of money in the short term. But you look at what happened with DeFi 2 cycles ago and last cycle, it was just starting to emerge. Now we have like the solid DeFi plays and people made a shit ton of money if they were in early. Now things are established and everyone knows what DeFi is and you can still make good money, but those outsized returns from decentralized finance came last cycle or the cycle before. Now we're in DeSci. This is the 2017 DeFi cycle for DeSci. The people who got into DeFi in 2017 are living in some yacht somewhere now. And people who get into DeSci in 2024 are going to live forever. And you can take that one to the bank. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Wait, don't take that to the bank. You get what I'm saying, though? My rants. My brain's roaring to life today, so you guys are getting an interesting side of me. My dad doesn't trust mainstream science, but he just likes to complain. He also doesn't like DeSci as a solution, and I don't understand why. It sounds like your dad's just not really interested in learning. If he's not interested in mainstream science, which neither am I, props to him. I also am not super interested in mainstream science, but then you're also not interested in finding a solution, which is quite literally decentralized science. Instead of being controlled by a select few of people, select few industries, you get to actually decentralize the control. I don't know. I don't know the man though, so I'm not trying to down talk it. I think I'm bearish on Pump.Science because I don't think I could convince my friends to be interested. I do think I could get my friends to be interested in a squirrel meme. That is fair truth. That is very fair. I don't think you need to get your friends to be interested to make an egregious amount of money here, though. If they launch and you get in at $100,000 market cap and it rallies to 10 million, you just got 100x. I don't think we need retail to do that. Oh, your dad's got a weird heart condition. He actually did find a solution. That's citizen science. Whether your dad likes it or not, he is in DeSci already. Sad state of affairs with people dumping more funds into memes than actual life-altering products. Yeah, it's the attention. We're in an attention economy. Memes have attention. Memes are a way to monetize attention. We found a way to put value to attention. And truth be told, at some point throughout human history, I don't know when it was, but at some point, humans stopped paying attention to science or social science or like the progression of humans and started paying attention to random things like Peanut the squirrel or Haley Welch with Hawk to a Girl. At some point there was a shift, and I forget who said it. It was on a podcast or something. I think on Impulsive, actually. Mike from Impulsive, who is the person who does referee stuff for Karate Combat. But he said, at what point did we shift from man hours spent globally into life-altering research and society progressing research to watching TikTok videos of Hawk to a Girl? And I think Hawk to a Girl was, he said Costco guys. At some point in society, we've now spent more hours together collectively watching some dude say double chocolate cookie compared to like paying attention to progressing physics. And that is a crazy thing to think about. There was a shift at one point. What point was that? You remember Hawk Tua's name? Yes. She is just a person as well. She just said something that went wildly viral. I wish I would have shorted Pfizer. Facts. Pharmaceutical stocks started to pull back after Trump announced RFK Jr. as health secretary. Good for DeSci. This is very good for DeSci. We might get RFK into DeSci. Maybe not this year. It might be next cycle that RFK acknowledges DeSci. But there is a possibility that during his tenure in the office, next bull run, he might acknowledge decentralized science. As we know, him and Trump are big blockchain advocates. So if he finds out that this section is in existence, he could go pretty crazy. It could go pretty damn crazy. Said most of his net worth is in Bitcoin. I know, that's a nuts thing to say. Yeah. There's more updates I could give to you guys about all of DeSci, but I think I'm going to wind down here in a moment because I have to go eat. I am quite hungry. Oh, and I have to post my top 5 DeSci positions. So at 2 o'clock, I will be posting that, give or take 10 minutes. My top 5 DeSci positions for this bull run. They could change in the future, but I'm just sharing what they are right now. And then I have a call at 3 o'clock, I think. So I have to get running. But where is... Oh, bookmarks. I bookmarked a few things. Oh, a few data points. Data points we have today, 2,500 projects evaluated, 13 projects funded on chain, 5 to 6 new medicines, 2 patents filed, and 2 real world products. Ladies and gentlemen, this is decentralized science. You cannot tell me that you think this industry is a joke or a meme. We have Dynex here, just filed a patent. They just filed a patent for their technology. This is nutty. World Intellectual Property Organization just published Dynex's patent. The patent's about the quantum simulations that they run in order to do the world's strongest quantum compute cloud network in existence. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very bullish. Gary Gensler potentially signing out before Trump gets the chance to fire him, so he leaves with some dignity. Bitcoin is absolutely killing it lately. It does look like it's forming a head and shoulders and could be coming down to test the 200-day moving average on the hourly chart. So the 200-hour moving average. I think we will see Bitcoin drop a little bit here. It'll be very healthy for the market. Ultimately, what we're waiting for to pump the rest of our bags is the Bitcoin dominance to chill out a little bit. If we can get Bitcoin dominance to break below the moving averages, we are in for the golden altcoin bull run. Just in this period right here, when if you zoom in just a little bit, Bitcoin dominance did not ever break below the moving averages and sustain that downward trend. It did never did it break this upward momentum it had been doing for the better part of 3 years now. But what we did see is a structure form in the dominance in which lower highs were in. And at the time, what it appeared to be was it ended up being a bull flag, but at the time it looked like it was the topping pattern for Bitcoin dominance. And what we saw from October 2023 until February, March 2024, while this pattern looked like it was about to play out and we thought altcoin season was coming, we saw some absolutely crazy runs in every single altcoin that you can think of. October 2023 through March 2024, that same period where the dominance was trending down a little bit when it looked like it was going to break down. We saw Solana rip from $21 all the way up to $200. We saw Ethereum in that time frame rip from $1,500 all the way up to $4,000. You can go through all of the market and see the same thing. So what we're waiting for patiently here is for Bitcoin dominance to start to look like it's chilling out a little bit. If we can get Bitcoin dominance to come back and retest the 200-day moving average and potentially break below the 200-day moving average, we are in for a great time with our portfolios, as I know most of you guys are altcoin heavy. So maybe it looks something like this, and then hopefully we get something like this. Let me just bear with me. Hopefully then we would get something like that. This is what I would be personally waiting for. I hope it comes before February, but also remember, it was just the thought of it breaking down caused those rallies. Time's your most valuable asset. Hopefully this was worth investing into. I'm excited. You should be excited. DeSci's on Solana, and it is going crazy. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.